Hello. In The Three Worlds, Plan of Redemption, page 165, Barbour and Russell are arguing that the fall of Babylon is linked to the restoration of the Jews. When they go on, the people called out of Babylon must refer to the Jews, we think, because they are to be gathered out of all nations and restored to their own land, while the saints are to be taken in the twinkling of an eye from the mill, the field, and any and every place where they may happen to be. And the call out of Babylon does not appear to mean merely a purifying of themselves, since they are to come out lest they should partake of her sins. The real bride of Christ never has, in any moral sense, been in Babylon. I pray not that thou should take them out of the world, but that thou shouldst keep them from the evil. And in the harvest, it is the work of the angels to gather first the tares and bind them in bundles. Hence, come out of her, my people, cannot in any spiritual or literal sense apply to the Christian church, but does most certainly appear reasonable as applied to the Jews, when the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to gather them from all nations. That's a reference, by the way, to Isaiah chapter 11, where it talks about a second gathering of Israel from the nations, not from Babylon. Compare our text with Isaiah 48:20 and Jeremiah 51:6. Flee out of the midst of Babylon, deliver every man his soul, be not cut off in her iniquity. Come out of her, my people, that ye receive not of her plagues. This would appear to make the return of the Jews due only when the 7 last plagues are fulfilled. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, and many that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake. Well, that's a reference to Daniel 12, and also partly to Isaiah 26, where the two clearest references to the resurrection in the Hebrew Scriptures. This also synchronizes with Job 14, verse 19. O that thou wouldst hide me in the grave, that thou wouldst keep me secret until thy wrath be past, that thou wouldst appoint me a set time, and remember me. Thou shalt call, and I will answer thee. The resurrection of the restitution class, those who shall stand upon the earth in the latter day in their flesh and see God, is therefore not due until the day of wrath is past, while the dead in Christ, who are to be raised spiritual bodies, is due before the day of wrath. Well, they thought that was essentially sometime between 1874 and 1878, and certainly over by 1914. The writer does not forget that unfulfilled prophecy cannot be applied in detail. Hence, the return of the Jews and the resurrection of this second class may not be as yet fully understood, but there are scriptures which appear to make the return of the Jews to begin with the living Jews of this generation, who are called a remnant. And after their return, Jerusalem is surrounded, the city is taken, and 1/2 go into captivity. He says, see Zechariah 14. Then the Lord interferes and saves them, and yet Jerusalem must be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. Hence, trodden down until AD 1914, when the day of wrath will be past, and the resurrection and the return of the whole house of Israel due. Notice that. 1914, when the day of wrath will be past. In other words, over. This would also synchronize with the type in Egypt, for it will be remembered it was in the midst of the alarm caused by the 7th and last plague brought on the Egyptians that they were called out of Egypt. According to the days of the coming out of the land of Egypt will I show unto him marvelous things. The nations shall see and be confounded at all their might. I don't remember hearing that one as a witness either. That's Micah 7, verse 15. Truly we're on the eve of great events. The harvest of the earth is ripe, the time of trouble is beginning, and the fulfillment of prophecies are crowding one upon another, and scenes are to be enacted during the coming 37 years, because this is written in 1877. 37 years, terrible beyond all that history has ever yet recorded. But let the little flock, who are the children of the day, and are walking in the light, lift up their heads, and watch and pray, that they may be accounted worthy to escape all these things, and to stand before the Son of Man. Again, the insistence, but they're the only ones who understand. The little flock, The 144,000 are the only ones. They are the first class. The second class are those Christians who are there, but will have to pass through the Great Tribulation that's going to end by 1914. I put in a link to the 7 predictions that Russell carried over from his days with Barbour. 7 predictions about 1914. And follow the link too to the cover-up of those predictions in subsequent editions of The Time Is at Hand.